everybody, and welcome to my first time doing Top 5 Wednesday. For those of you who don't know, Top 5 Wednesday is the sort of, I'm going to call it a list movement that was started by Ginger Reads Laney, and she just recently opened it up for any booktuber to do, which I think is really, really cool. I love seeing list videos. They're weirdly like one of my favorite things to see, just because it's a good way to get a lot of kind of opinion and often information in a really short amount of time, and usually based around a theme. So this week's theme was the top 5 books you would love to see as movies. I did my best to choose books that hopefully are not currently in development in any way, shape, or form. I think at least one of them has been optioned, but I don't think it has a script, I don't think it has a cast or anything else like that. And of the books I chose, 4 of them are in series, so basically I'm going to show one of the books in the series and say I just kind of want the whole series to be done, but obviously you need to do the first book first. That was just a sea of really obvious and useless information. The first book, and subsequently the first series I would love to see get turned into a series of films, is the Bartimaeus Trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. This is the first book, The Amulet of Samarkand, and a cover that I really liked before they went and made cover changes. It's really, really annoying because I like this cover. This is a really fun series. For me, it was an introduction really into dystopia, and the first time I really read a book that had a lot of politics injected into it. This is a alternate universe London where magicians are running the show. Magicians don't necessarily have powers so much as they have the ability to summon creatures from the other side, and you're talking various levels of spirits such as jinn and afrits and marids and all sorts of other creatures like that. The books obviously have a character named Bartimaeus who's a jinn as their primary protagonist, and he narrates about half the chapters in the book. He's this very, very snarky character, and I think this is one of the few times you could really do voiceover in a film and get away with it, because his narration is part of the best parts of these books, and he leaves little footnotes to just like throw in his opinion even more into the book. It's a really hilarious series. The other main character is a young boy by the name of Nathaniel, who's 12 years old, and he is on a revenge mission. It's a really fun series and gets progressively darker and kind of bigger as the 3 books go on, and it was one of my first times I encountered a really bittersweet ending, and I remember it affecting me a lot when I finished the 3rd book. The next book and series I would love to see turned into films is the Across the Universe trilogy by Beth Revis. Despite all of my misgivings with the 3rd book, I think this would be a really fun sci-fi trilogy of films, because at the end of the day they're all kind of murder mysteries, and I think that's what you could really focus in on when telling these and adapting them to the screen, is look, focus in on the murder mystery and you'll have atmosphere for everything else. And I think it'd be really, really fun. They'd make some pretty good quick-paced films, and they'd give you the chance to have some really gorgeous CGI. If gravity has taught us anything, we can do space. Space is not a problem. Alright, next one I have, also a series, though it's 3rd book, we're still waiting on it. I need it now. The Grisha Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book, Shadow and Bone. I think this is a very dark fantasy atmosphere that would work really well on film. This would translate beautifully to film. Just the level of effects and just costumes and production design you could get just from this book. Honestly, if you were to get me the production crew of like the Game of Thrones series and tell them to do Shadow and Bone, can you imagine how beautiful this would look? Just imagine that. Just imagine that. And also you've got some characters who are really fun, and you have a really charismatic and enigmatic villain, which when you're telling a story, your hero's usually only as good as your villain. So the fact that you've got a really charismatic villain helps a lot, and it would definitely help pull the film through. Alright, the only book that is not actually in a series that I would love to see turned into a film, and I'm not sure if it's cheating because I know it's been optioned already, is The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. This book is basically written kind of like a film script. It's very cinematic. I mean, down to there are points where the jumps in the timeline, I just go, oh gosh, yeah, I've already imagined a whole transition right in there. I don't even have to work that hard. And it's a very, very short book. It only takes place in 24 hours, and which helps, I think, in terms of being able to adapt this. This would be, I think, an extremely easy book to adapt, and it could have some of that awkward kind of whimsy that you would get from Juno and Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. So I think this would be a really great film. Like I said, I know it's been optioned. It might actually even already be getting its script. So who knows? If that's the case, my wish is being answered. And finally, the last book, a series that's still currently unfinished. It needs 2 more books in its series to be finished, but I would love to see adapted into a film, and not only that, into an animated film, is the Fairyland series by Catherine M. Valente. This is an arc of the 3rd book, The Girl Who Soared Over Fairyland and Cut the Moon in Two. These are really fun books. They're middle grade, I believe, but I think they can be read by anyone. They're a really good blend of whimsy and dark fantasy fairy tale folklore elements. It really reminds me of why I love Neil Gaiman, and that there's a lot being put in here, but it's so clever. And September's a really, really great lead character, and I love her interactions with A through L, the Wyverary, and with Saturday. I just think these would make great animated films, and if you could get someone who could really do justice to the first book in terms of a screenplay and have amazing animation to go with it, I think these would do extremely well. So that's it for my Top 5 Wednesday. My first one, I'm so excited. Like I said, I'm a bit of a list junkie, so I like doing lists. But that's all for me today, you guys, so until next time, cheers.